What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I know I am a little late with this news. It's been out for almost a week, but here I am now finally talking about it. Apologies for the delay in it, but I want to kind of talk about my history coming from Galaxy of Heroes. I think this kind of pertains to the discussion of Iso-8. Over in Galaxy of Heroes, we have a system called mods, and what it is it's this new kind of progression system where you plug in these pieces on a character. You can put in 6 pieces, and you can boost different stats like offense, defense, speed. There's a potency, tenacity. Basically, it's another kind of progression system on your characters. But I've kind of always been, I've not really ever liked mods. In fact, I have a 1-star review on the game back from when mods first came out, and I've never changed that because mods they were not fun. The problem with them was that they were very much RNG based. You couldn't really control it. If you were really unlucky, you would fall behind on mods, and then you would not be as competitive because mods would really break the game, especially with a speed stat, where you basically turned everything into a speed mode, where the fastest player with the best speed mods would win 90% of the time. It was a mess. It's not fun. Now, the reason I bring this up is because originally in the first preview and playtest of Iso-8, what I could gather from players who tested it out was that the system was very much going to be like mods. Another great way to compare it here is basically think of the Red Star system we have in Marvel Strike Force and basically put that on crack, and that's how bad mods were. So when I first heard that Iso-8 was coming back for another playtest and that they would be trying out once again, my initial reaction was, so I was not exactly a big fan of the Iso-8 playtest when I heard it was coming back, but now that I've read through the post and seen things here, I have to say I am very much a fan of what they are going for here, and kudos to FoxNext for actually taking that feedback from the first playtest and completely revamping this Iso-8 system, because what they have now I think is miles better than anything they could have had with any kind of mod system, and actually kind of adds a unique system that you don't see in a lot of other games with this new system. I think this is going to be a great way for theory crafting, different ways to power up characters. Overall, I'm very positive on what they show here with Iso-8. That does not mean I don't have concerns, which I will discuss as we go through this, but on the whole, I have to say, good job, FoxNext. This actually looks really good. So what's going on with Iso-8 is that they've basically revamped it to be this new kind of progression system like Gear, where you have these different crystals and you throw them onto these matrices, I guess that's the plural term of matrix. And these crystals that you plug into the matrix have different boosts of stats. So your health, armor, damage, resist, and focus. Those are the only stats you can boost up with the crystals. And then you have 5 crystals per matrix. And then once you plug in those crystals, you can also see those crystals have certain levels to them. Like they have a level 3 crystal here. You see the 3 yellow bars on it. And then the level of the matrix will also depend on the level of the crystals here. So if you have the lowest level crystal you have on here is like a level 2 crystal, that means your matrix can only be up at level 2. So seems pretty straightforward here so far. Looks great. Where this gets really, really interesting is what that matrix allows you to do with those characters and how it allows you to get these kind of new unlocked classes that you're going to get with them. Right now we have Striker, Fortifier, Healer, Skirmisher, and Raider. They've kind of talked a little bit about what each of these classes can do, and I know we've seen the beta footage of it, and it looks like your Skirmisher, your Raiders can be able to apply this new debuff, which we'll talk about here in a moment. And you can see some of these bonuses here for Striker, Fortifier, and Healer. You know, it kind of allows them to kind of like unlock new abilities for these characters. So that looks fantastic. I love that. And this is going to be very fun to see, because some of these, like obviously your straight damage dealers like Black Bolt, likely best to go for Striker on him. But then you have characters like your tanks or your healers, your support characters that are best to go for Fortifier or Healer or something like that. I mean, if you have a tank with a pre-taunt like Drax and you throw a Fortifier matrix on him, now he's going to pre-taunt and he has this awesome barrier thrown on him. Healers are going to be able to constantly heal more often, heal these marked characters, which we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, I mean, right now, the new abilities unlocked with this, the new classes, that kind of stuff looks great. Now, one other thing you may have noticed up here is that we have this currency here, and this is actually something we'll talk about here in a moment as well. There's gonna be a new currency unlocked for your crystals and upgrade matrices and everything. It's gonna be some brand new currency that we'll get through there called ions, I believe. So we won't have to worry about gold. So if you're in that gold crunch like everybody is, you can relax here a little bit. You don't have to worry about gold. That's very much welcome news as well. We'll have to see how prominent or how available this currency is, because if it's like the gold crunch, this is going to be a problem where you may be strapped for resources. That's one of my first concerns here, is that I need to know how readily available this kind of currency is going to be. Hopefully it's not too bad. We'll see how things go there. Now, another thing I actually wanted to go ahead and bring up here as well is when you're upgrading these crystals, I believe in Valley Flying's video, he worked through it where you can take a level 1 crystal up to level 2. You can combine crystals together to upgrade the levels of the crystals, which then in turn increase the level of your matrix. The problem is, it seems like you are going to have to get a lot of crystals to get to those level 5. I believe it's 3 level 1s for level 2, then 9 up to level 3, then 27 for level 4, and then 81 level 4 crystals up to level 5. If that math is correct, that's something like 59,000 level 1 crystals to get a level 5 crystal. So my question is going to be, how readily farmable are these crystals going to be? They do have a campaign as well, and you can see here with Fortifier for Nick Fury, he has a spawn and the barrier for himself with the 10,000 barrier, plus 2% of his character's max health. That's level 1. You upgrade it, you get better things here. You can see the healer matrix here. As you upgrade it, it increases max health, direct healing. So it's very important to upgrade the level of the matrix, because without that, you're not going to be unlocking some of these great abilities here. I mean, this on-turn healing lowest health ally seems like a great idea, and then you combine that with increasing the max health and increasing direct healing. It seems like a great idea for leveling up these things. Now, here's where we get to something else I'm a little concerned about as well. This marked debuff, or this icon, you can see it here. This is purple icon with the crosshair on it. It's going to be some new mechanic coming with Iso-8. Increases the incoming damage for that character by 10%. And then marked also brings out the power of some of the Iso-8 classes. Like, if you remember, if we go back up here to Striker, you can see that Strikers can gain extra attacks, and that's against marked characters. So marked is going to kind of determine how you use your characters with their Iso-8 abilities. Skirmisher can flip positive effects into negative effects against marked targets. Healers can clear marked from allies. Striker get those extra attacks against marked, and I believe Raider is going to actually be the class that applies marked. So it looks like you're going to need a Raider character for each of your different teams. Now, here's the problem. Over in Galaxy Heroes, I'm bringing some of my experience from Galaxy of Heroes again. Anytime that we get some kind of new mechanic like this, some kind of new debuff that characters have to, kind of directly interact with, one thing that developers have to pretty much always do is hard code the AI, because the AI just doesn't know what to do. Now, it could be here that the AI is a little smarter than it was in Galaxy of Heroes. I doubt that. Not to say there's something wrong against Foxnex, it's just when you have to bring in these different interactions to focus on marked characters, it's kind of one of those things where, can the AI be up to the task? And from my experience so far, the answer has been no. I'm very glad to see Foxnex prove me wrong on this. Maybe it will be that the AI is smart in how to fight against marked characters, but they usually have to hard code characters in Galaxy of Heroes to make them directly interact and actually bring out the full potential of these characters. So I do want to see how they're going to work with this. If they're just going to leave the AI on their own, I don't know if the AI is going to be able to handle the marked mechanics, but we'll have to see how Foxnex does it. That's another one of my concerns with this whole Iso-8 system. Now, moving on, we have this Iso-8 campaign. Now, the beta footage could not show anything in the Iso-8 campaign. They said it's still a work in progress, so they're still balancing it, fine-tuning it. So don't want to show anything on it. That's fine. I do have another concern though as well with this, is what kind of level crystals are we going to get from that? I mentioned earlier, the math says 59,000 crystals from level 1 up to level 5. So my question is, how readily available are some higher level crystals going to be? Because I can guarantee you're going to have level 1 crystals in the campaign. My question is, can you get higher level crystals as well from the campaign as well? that's another one of my concerns here, is how readily available is this and how grindy is this going to be, which then ties into another concern with how heavily monetized is this going to be. And let's be real here, if you're expecting the Iso-8 system to not be monetized, you don't know how mobile games work. I'll eat my chair if they don't monetize Iso-8 in some way. But honestly, it's going to be a concern of mine if this is going to be something that's impossible free to play to get. That's going to be a big issue. So the question is, how readily accessible is this for free to play? Is this going to be some kind of thing where your whales are going to whale out and it's going to determine success based on how much they whale out? There's concerns there with monetization. Hopefully they don't go crazy on the monetization and make it so that it's you either whale or your SOL. We'll have to see what they do here, and also have to see what kind of crystals we get, because if you are just free to play, you're probably only going to be getting crystals through the campaign. So farming up 59,000 level 1 crystals for a level 5 crystal, that's it's going to be an issue. And hopefully that drop rate's good. We'll see if that math changes. I could be completely wrong on that math. I'll have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure that it's like 59,000 level 1 crystals for level 5 crystal. But yeah, this Q&A also addresses one of my biggest concerns that I had going in with this. Second question here, will there be bonus speed stats available? They have no plans currently to include speed stats. Now, I want to be cynical and say that leaves the door open, but so far with the way they're handling this without boosting speed alone, there's no kind of speed boost anywhere with this. It's not this big RNG fest like we have with mods. I think Foxnext can see how bad mods were in Galaxy of Heroes and the feedback that people got from them, because I know both Arnold and Mobile Gamer both play tested Iso-8, and they basically said, like, speed, if you have speed on these Iso-8 abilities, that's going to be a big issue. So I'm glad to see that they are not going to have speed stats available on it. Hopefully we can hold them to that and that we'll never get speed. We'll have to see down the road if that's still applicable, but hopefully, Foxnext, if you're watching this, don't put speed on Iso-8 ever, please. Also, the stat bonuses that Iso-8 provide will not be randomly generated. It is predetermined. Fantastic to see that as well. New resource format called Ions. So yeah, it is Ions to upgrade classes and fuse crystals. Can characters change their class? You can change the class freely, but upgrading them will cost resources. So that is fantastic as well. You're not going to have to constantly drag and drop and move different things, because that was another problem with mods as well. Mods were a mess when you had to kind of switch them around between characters. You can move Iso-8 pieces. They will not be, they're locked to that character, so you don't have to worry about swapping them. Will this system add significant time to daily play? Upon getting familiar with the feature, including the Iso-8 campaign nodes, should not require a significant daily time investment. I mean, basically, you're just going to go and auto the campaign nodes, see if you get crystals, and yeah, just kind of play around with Iso-8. You're not going to have to invest a lot of time in once you get these Iso-8 and the Matrix. Once you get the Matrices unlocked, Matrices unlocked on these characters, and start upgrading them, you don't have to really spend a lot of time with them. So that's very nice to see as well. And then this is why the health bars are updated. I'm not really bothered by the health bar update. I know a lot of people have been complaining about it. I've seen it on Reddit. As someone who is still kind of leveling up and everything, this one didn't really bother me too much. I never really noticed a change, but I can see why with some characters, like a Thanos has like 300,000 health. Now suddenly he's got like very few blips on his health bar. It's a pretty jarring difference. So it's going to take some time to get used to, and we'll see how Iso-8 changes that up here in the future. And then here at the very, very bottom, talking about PvE environments, are these Iso-8 upgrades going to be added to the AI and PvE environments? They are not planning to do that. So you do not have to worry about existing content like Ultima 7, your Greek raids. You don't have to worry about those kind of fights suddenly having Iso-8 added onto the enemies, because that could really screw things up anyways. So glad to see they're not going to be adding it to any existing PvE content. However, content released in the future could very likely have Iso-8 added in, which is perfectly fine. We'll get used to it then. We'll have strategies for everything, but to have it add the content we already have in the game would be pretty jarring. Probably not something the players would appreciate very much overall. So honestly, I like it. I have concerns about the grindiness and the monetization. We'll have to see how it goes, but I think on the right now they're on the good track. We'll have to see how the playtest comes, how the players are with the playtest, if they have any big concerns, and hopefully we'll see this sometime very soon. I think they said September or October is when they're planning on bringing out Iso-8. So we'll see it here in the next few months. What do you guys think about this? Are you guys positive in Iso-8? Are you guys negative about it? How do you guys feel about it? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, guys, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content in the future. And as always, I will see you guys next time.